So again, today we're going to be just reviewing domain and range one last time. For those of you who either weren't here last class or don't remember domain is the horizontal and the range is the vertical. So for domain, we're looking at, notice we have an arrow here. So I like to see this graph as being extended beyond just our graph. Remember, arrows tell us that our graph continues going in each direction. So when I'm looking to the left, right, it looks like my graph keeps going to the left. And in fact, it will continue going all the way to the right. For most lines, our domain will always be negative infinity to infinity. The furthest left we can go is infinity. The furthest right that we can go is infinity. And remember, for infinity, we always use the parentheses. For range, we're looking at up and down. Because our line keeps going downward, our graph will also keep going downward. So we start at the lowest value, negative infinity. And we'll continue up. We keep having the graph over here. Notice we have the graph over here. We keep going, we keep going. The graph keeps going past 5 because the arrow keeps taking us up. And this takes us up to positive infinity again. So our domain in this case is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Lester, we use the parentheses sometimes without infinity, only when there is an empty circle. So again, if you see an empty circle, that's when you use parentheses. When you have the puntito relleno is when you have square brackets. So if we look at number 2, again looking at the domain, we see we have our graph keeps going to the left. We keep approaching this left. We have this arrow that keeps going. This arrow tells me that our graph continues starting at negative infinity, because that graph keeps going in this direction, and continues and continues and continues. Notice it keeps going up, but it also keeps going up and over. So our graph continues to go not only up, but to the right as well. From negative infinity to positive infinity. For our range, we need to look at the lowest value. Now what you'll notice is this graph does not keep going downward. It actually keeps going to the left. This graph gets very close, and in fact will be with our 0. It gets closer and closer to this value of 0. So we're starting right here, and we're moving upward, upward, and because our graph continues to grow upward, we will continue to positive infinity. Not always do arrows mean we keep going downward. It really just means that we are continuing to the left. When we're looking at number 3, notice again we do have arrows here. I like to draw in and extend this graph just so we can see what those arrows mean. Thank you. So notice again, because of the flechas, is that the right word? Yes, because of the flechas, it continues going a la izquierda. So I know my graph keeps going this way. Oh, wrong color. It continues and continues and continues. The arrow tells me that we're also continuing to go de la derecha. We have another example of negative infinity to positive infinity. For our range, notice the flechas go downward. So I know that my graph will keep going downward. And I see that I have my graph here. And we go from negative infinity all the way up to -1. And remember, if you do not see a dot, we assume that it is a full circle, and we will contain that value. Now for number 4, the graph looks a little different, and notice I'm actually going to draw this down a little bit. The computer cut off some of it. So when we're looking at our domain, the furthest left we appear to go is -3. We see that there's nothing, there is no graph in this portion. So we're starting at -3. And we continue and continue. Because we have this la flecha, it continues this way also. So I know my graph will continue on all the way to positive infinity. Oh, go ahead. When we're looking at the range, the lowest value on our graph appears to be 0. Right? And just because we were able to use this filled circle, we will use the puntito relleno también. And we are starting at a y value of 0, and we're going up, going up. And because of la flecha, we continue to grow arriba también. So these are some examples of domain and range that will be really helpful in the show what you knows as well as the try it sections.